Marvel Snap has a new limited time game mode, the Grand Arena, that's live now until the season ends on August 7th. And it's got some really awesome things that it's bringing to the game with it. The core rules are the same as regular Marvel Snap. You win the game after 6 turns by having the most stats in 2 out of 3 locations. But you get 1 extra energy, i.e., 2 on the first turn and 7 on the last turn. And every deck that players will be playing in it have to have one of 8 different champion cards featured in it. These champion cards are guaranteed to start in your hand along with their special skill card that synergizes with them. For example, Invisible Woman always has the Force Field, a 0 energy card that has the on reveal give your Invisible Woman +1 power for each card behind her, and you get that much additional energy on the following turn. Another stellar thing this game mode has done is that you don't need to have a full collection or even think about building your own deck if you don't want to engage with it, because there's a pre-built deck for each of the 8 champion that you're able to jump right into. I'm going to cover all 8 of these pre-built decks and the champions and their skills and my thoughts on them at the end of the video. But before we dive into that, I want to talk about the different rewards you're going to be able to get, i.e. new cards, as well as how much you're going to have to play for those rewards and what the reward structure looks like and the time needed to acquire what you want to be getting first. The 2 new Series Forward cards available in the Grand Arena are Moleman, a 3/3 with the on reveal, banish the top card of your deck, add 2 rocks to your hand with power equal to the banished card's cost, as well as the Mad Thinker, a 1/1, where at the start of each turn after drawing, it gets +2 power if your hands are full. Both of these cards, I honestly think, are some of the most interesting and perhaps even powerful cards to be releasing this season. They also have reasonable synergy with Victoria Hand, who's one of my favorite cards. Victoria Hand powers up the rocks made by Moleman, and decks with Victoria are often generating a lot of cards, keeping your hand full for the Mad Thinker. You'll acquire these cards by spending glory inside the Grand Arena shop, with each of them costing 2,000 glory to obtain. To break down some of the numbers surrounding the Grand Arena, it's going to be using a ticketing system very similar to Sanctum Showdown that we've seen in the past. You're going to acquire 10 glory and XP plus an arena ticket for each win. You're going to acquire 5 glory and XP for a loss, and then ties are the same as a loss. You're going to need one of those arena tickets to enter a game. You're going to start with 8 tickets. You're going to regenerate 3 tickets every 8 hours, allowing those to build up to 12 before they stop regenerating, meaning you need to log in approximately every 32 hours or once a day will be good enough to spend those tickets without overcapping them and losing value. If you spew all of your tickets on a bad run and you want to purchase more of them, they'll cost 10 gold per ticket to get extra ones. You'll note that I said in addition to the glory that you spend directly in the shop for the rewards, you're also earning XP for wins and losses in this game mode. Experience gets applied to the event pass, which has both a free and premium side to give you additional things, including extra glory. The premium event pass is technically free to play, obtainable at 1,200 gold, but that is a pretty premium amount, expecting more than a month's worth of free to play gold in order to purchase it. I'm going to link the blog with the full details of the pass and everything else for the Grand Arena in the video description down below. But to give you a high level overview of what a exactly average Marvel Snapper can expect to grind for free or gold and how much it's going to take to get out of this event, at a 50% win rate, you would need to play 14 games per day without the premium purchase to get enough glory to buy one of the 2 cards of your choosing. A free to play player without buying the pass would need to play 25 games a day to earn both of the cards. And if you're ponying up the 1,200 gold for the premium pass, you'll need to play approximately 6 games per day in order to get both of the cards. You'll note that there's an asterisk here after the games per day to earn both cards without the premium, because you technically will not get enough tickets over the 2 weeks of the event to play 25 games a day with a 50% win rate, meaning you still have to spend some amount of gold here to get both cards, loosely 250 gold and additional tickets. You can obviously reduce this amount of gold to completely nothing and reduce the amount of games you're playing per day if your win rate is higher than 50%. But exactly how much it's going to go down by is going to depend on exactly how much more you happen to be winning than the average. Diving into the champion and deck specifics, I'd like to kick things off with a quick rehash and bigger version of the default Invisible Woman deck. I think pairing her with Ajax and Hazmat makes a lot of sense. You can hide that Hazmat behind Invisible Woman as early as the second turn of the game, since you have an extra energy in the Grand Arena, and then Hazmat will flip up at the end of the game, allowing you to make your Ajax very large wherever it's at, while also allowing you to insulate him from an opposing tech card like Shang-Chi, since his stats won't be super large until after the end of the game. The force field is also an especially powerful effect, letting you have a whopping 10 energy on the last turn of the game means you could slam down 2 4s and a US agent for a big swing that's going to be difficult to predict. Our second champion is the original Mr. Fantastic, whose Council of Reed skills essentially gives you a Surge-esque effect on an ongoing card at random in your hand, giving it -1 cost and +1 power. Remember, because you have +1 energy in this game mode, you're guaranteed to be able to play your Council of Reeds on the first turn of the game, since it's always in your opener, meaning this champion has a pretty narrow build around for it. You need to be playing an ongoing synergy deck, meaning Spectrum or Onslaught probably going to be at the top end of your curve. This will be an interesting one, I think, to explore deck building with a little bit, because I think perhaps having a little bit lower curve in this archetype could be good. If you Council of Reeds on one and it goes on to an Iron Man or a Claw, for example, you're going to miss a turn of value of getting that extra stat and discount on your ongoing effect. Up next, we have a Handbuff deck featuring Human Torch First Steps. His Flame On skill that you're guaranteed to have in your opener adds your champion's power to the top card of your deck. This means that your Human Torch can get out on the second turn of the game because you'll have 3 energy then, and you can slowly build it up. An interesting dynamic you'll need to be thinking about with this is there's actually going to be value in filling your Human Torch's lane on turn 4, so that way on turn 5 he's already doubled up, and you can move that doubled up stats onto the thing on top of your deck that you're going to be able to play out on turn 6. That'll obviously expose your Human Torch a little bit to opposing tech cards like Shang-Chi or Shadow King, so you'll have to be kind of a value judge / estimate of when it's worth getting a big burst from the Flame On versus when it's worth keeping it smaller, so that way your Human Torch doesn't double up until the game is actually over. The Things deck list is also using his First Steps variation, and Clobber in Time is your free skill. This 6 energy skill gets 1 cheaper for each different cost among your cards in play, i.e. if you have a 1, a 2, a 3, and the 5 cost thing, Clobber in Time is only going to cost you 2 resources. It gives a whopping +8 extra power to your champion, which means that the thing is going to be able to theoretically kill stuff that's very large, even if he's going to RNG into killing their smallest thing in the lane quite frequently. This deck list honestly seems pretty reasonable. I think Suitor Scar in general is a pretty solid Marvel Snap deck, with the only kind of puzzling inclusion being Giganto, since it's pretty restricted in where you can play it out game to game. If you're going to be building your own The Thing First Steps deck, you're definitely going to consider having a wide spread of costs, so that way Clobber in Time can consistently be cheap. The Herby champion might actually be the most flexible from a deck building perspective of all 8 of these. This 2/3 comes with a 3 energy skill that says execute all 4 of Herby's champion abilities, which for reference means you get a rock with 4 power in his lane, you double his stats, you give +1 stat to 2 things in each of the other lanes, and most importantly, you get +3 energy the next turn. A lot of what makes Herby kind of a weaker 2 energy card in normal Marvel Snap is you don't get to control which ability you're getting when, and you don't always have the card early, and it being your champion in Grand Arena solves both of those problems. You're guaranteed to have Herby on the first turn of the game, thanks to always starting with 2, and helpful assistance means that you can on demand have a big burst of both energy stats and board presence, which means there's a ton of different ways to leverage all those payoffs in Snap. The default deck here is almost assuredly a very reasonable one. You've got zoo stuff, which means you can spread out stats for Herby to pump up, and they even threw you in a Shang-Chi as a tech card so you can be interactive against opponents, and you have Kyera of your own to disrupt opponents that might want to be breaking your stuff. Dr. Doom's deck list is kind of the opposite end of the spectrum when it comes to deck building diversity. It has a very specific niche. His skill, the master plan, is a 2 energy card that says your 6 cost cards cost 3 next turn. So 2 different kind of sequences you can utilize with this master plan. You could actually play master plan on the first turn of the game with your 2 energy, and then you could play a 6 drop on turn 2 with your 3 energy, or you could play master plan on the fourth turn of the game, so that way you can play 2 6 drops out as 3 costs on turn 6. Or if you have a little bit of extra energy from something like Jennifer Kale, as well as a cost reduction from something else, you can even in theory play out 3 6 drops on the 6th and last turn of the game, where you have 7 energy plus whatever extra you have going on. The most Jeff Hoagland of the champions is definitely Moleman, since it synergizes with one of my favorite cards in Victoria Hand. This deck list has a bunch of ways to generate cards, and then your Moleman Subterraneous Summon skill gives each created card in your hand either -1 cost or +2 power at random, making it really wild for your opponent to be able to predict your output range. This means that the rocks Moleman is generating could be even larger, or they can be completely free on that last turn. You can even use the Subterraneous Summons alongside something like Infinity Ultron to make his stones go from 2 costs down to 1, while Victoria Hand makes all of them cheaper. I think the only really kind of head-scratching card in this default deck list is Isan, since it exposes you to Shang-Chi when none of the other cards in your deck do, and you have a wide range of created stuff, meaning he's kind of a higher variance effect. This is definitely going to be the champion that I work on customizing the most, I think, just because I love the type of deck that he encourages building. Finally, for the Destroy enjoyers out there, we have Maximum Carnage, whose appropriately named ability costs just 1 resource, and it says banish this skill to move your champion here. Repeat your champions on reveal effect. I actually think there's probably going to be some interesting deck building depth to this card as well. While there's obviously going to be destroy centric, whatever you're doing, having Carnage as well as Maximum Carnage guaranteed in your opening hand means you always have something to destroy your cards. This could do something sweet with, say, Phoenix Force, for example, which is typically a 3-card combo in regular Marvel Snap, where here you're guaranteed to have a way to blow up your Multiple Man or Human Torch to start. The default deck also looks pretty reasonable. You have a pretty classic stock destroy deck, and I think this is an archetype that specifically is also going to gain a nice advantage from the fact that we have 1 extra energy in this game mode. This means you can organically play a copy of Null on turn 6, and then your turn 7 can be Arnim Zolaing that Null across the board to double it up, as well as using that 7th energy to play out a copy of Deadpool that you've been charging up as well. Well, I obviously haven't played any Grand Arena yet personally as of the recording of this video. I have to say, conceptually, I absolutely love what's going on here. It's obviously drawing inspiration from the Magic the Gathering Commander/EDH format, which is very popular, and putting a snap type spin on it, while also having this really neat deck building component. This seems like a type of game mode that, as a recurring one, can come back quite frequently while also feeling very different each time, because they can have a different range of the arena commanders as well as the skills that come with them to make it different deck building requirements and different pre-built decks. I also think the pre-built deck aspect of this is absolutely phenomenal, giving less experienced stat players or people who just aren't interested in building their own decks the ability to jump in and play right away without thinking about it or having specific cards is awesome. As far as the reward shop is concerned, while I'm sure there's going to be some folks that complain about having to grind a ton or spend a bit of gold to easily get everything, I feel like they hit a pretty solid middle ground between trivially giving you everything in it and the Kid Omega situation where you had to spend a giant pile of gold in order to get anything. I think making one of two Series Forge cards reasonably attainable completely for free, and then expecting a little bit of gold spend to get both while also having no RNG involved. I like that we don't have a silly pull portal. I can just buy whichever of the two cards I want specifically first, or if I'm only getting one, I can get exactly Moleman or Mad Thinker, whichever I prefer. As always, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below, what you think of this new game mode and what custom decks you're looking to build with these champions. My decks roundup this weekend will definitely be talking about what custom decks are performing well on the public trackers, as well as which ones I've been enjoying. And if you want to see me checking out the Grand Arena, make sure you drop by my live stream at twitch.tv/Jeff Hoagland. I'm going to be exploring both the pre-builds and custom things. We'll also looking to brew up regular decks with Moleman once I get my hands on him. As always, I appreciate everybody that made it all the way through to the end of the video, and I hope your next snap pack is an excellent one.